Good evening, friends, and welcome to a Friday night matinee. No, it's not a matinee. It's a Friday night, late night edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon and this guy, fired up Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, Karen Reed trial, day 8. Jennifer McCabe back on the stand and grilled on cross-examination by defense attorney Alan Jackson. A lot of information to unpack here tonight. Ed, I know you're fired up and you got a lot to say. Your thoughts for the audience on day 8. Just go short because we got a lot to get into.
Yes, folks, we got a packed show for you. Yes, I'm fired up today. Alan Jackson got in there. Masterful job on the cross-examination. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. She was doing good. JM was doing good, but then she lost it at the end. Lost it totally. And the things that came out are mind-blowing. My BS meter broke. And since it's made in China and the tariffs, I'm not going to be able to get a new one for quite some time. I couldn't believe how many times the BS meter pegged, and it just busted. So, boy, do we have good stuff for you today. So let's roll with it.
Yeah. I want to start out with at the end of this long day, day 8, Friday, we heard from one expert witness at the end, but it was all of it, all day long was testimony from Jennifer McCabe. And boy, did she really trip herself up a bit. But let's take a listen to this. This is Karen Reed and her defense team coming out of the courthouse. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Sorry, AJ. Perfect. End of the weekend, bud. Happens to the best of us. Now, what do you think the jury thought?
That's the impeachment material. Voluminous.
What do you think the jury thought of Jen McCabe?
Anyone with common sense would think of Jen McCabe, I hope.
What do you? Who's the mastermind behind this? You guys have pointed to Albert, but she certainly spent a lot of time on her in terms of her role in this.
But it's always inconsistent. She's not consistent, so
she can't be a mastermind if she's inconsistent.
I would maybe use the word quarterback.
Karen, that text message, if she pleads, this will end. If she fights, it'll be an episode. When did you first see that text, and what's your reaction?
I saw that text prior to the first trial. I don't know what would make them think I'd plead to anything, because I didn't do anything.
What do you make of the blood alcohol extrapolation? Do you think it could have been 3 times the legal limit?
I think it's garbage in, garbage out, and it depends on their assumption of when I last consumed alcohol. And it's in
Ed, I've heard garbage in, garbage out from you many a time, Ed. She also was asked about that question, if she please. That whole statement, we're going to get into that. I want to just play that back, Ed, and then we'll go right to you, because it almost seems like Karen Reed and her defense team was listening to Ed Wallace.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
All right, let's take a listen to this. I'm going to just back it up a little bit.
If she fights, it'll be an episode. When did you first?
So she can't be a mastermind if she's inconsistent.
I would maybe use the word quarterback.
Karen, that text message, if she pleads, this will end. If she fights, it'll be an episode. When did you first see that text, and what's your reaction?
I saw that text prior to the first trial. I don't know what would make them think I'd plead to anything, because I didn't do anything.
What do you make of the blood alcohol extrapolation? Do you think it could have been 3 times the legal limit?
I think it's garbage in, garbage out, and it depends on their assumption of when I last consumed alcohol, and it's an assumption.
Will we eventually see those media clips that your lawyers objected to today?
There'll be lots of clips, yeah.
Will we see those? Will we see those?
Most likely, yes. They're just, some are taken out of context, and the context needs to be added.
Jen was on for 3 days. Do you think that she will be the longest of the people you plan to cross?
One of them.
How about
Jen McCabe said she was only concerned with doing what was best to help John O'Keefe, and the best thing for John O'Keefe at 6:04 in the morning was to get a first responder to him immediately, and that was not her priority.
You know, we heard a lot.
And that was she was alluding to Brian Albert, the homeowner at 34 Fairview. Ed, I wanted to just go to you real quick on what we just heard there. There was a couple of things that we are going to talk about on this show here tonight, but she mentioned the text messages, and then she talked about the garbage in, garbage out. You want to just expand on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, the text messages, well, I mean, if you follow the case, the trial last year, the last trial, then you would have known about that one text message that we're going to cover here, where they say, well, if she takes a plea, in fact, hold on, because look, I took copious notes of the trial today, and so let me just get the actual. Yep, if she pleads out, it will end. If she fights, it will be an episode. Okay, let me pose to you folks. I've been in a lot of crime scenes, over 2,700 crime scenes. I've testified in close to almost 399 trials, and where I've been declared a forensic expert by judges. I've never seen anything like this. I've known a lot of witnesses in my day. No witness, no honest witness that is not involved in the crime would do what they're doing. Ask yourself, are their actions reasonable? Are these text messages reasonable? Are the things they're saying and doing reasonable? Would a reasonable witness get this deep and involved in all of this? No, the answer is no, they wouldn't, okay? Unless they're involved in the death of Mr. O'Keefe.
Police officer
Okay.
John O'Keefe.
That's right, okay? Nobody would do this, okay? And we've learned, this is what I've learned today. She was very difficult. She's very combative. She splits hairs. She's very evasive, okay? She doesn't do that with the prosecutor. She never needs to have her memory refreshed with documents from the prosecutor. She says all these things the other day that she never reviewed anything. That's just horseshit, okay? There's no way that a lawyer, a prosecutor, or a defense attorney would allow their witness to get on the stand without having reviewed their previous grand jury, and she was in 2, okay, their previous trial testimony, and their new trial testimony that they're going to be posed in their direct testimony, and a prep on cross-examination. Total horseshit. Now, you can tell she's taking some training. Now, whether she took it independent, like she saw some YouTube videos or did some research, or she got her hands on some training stuff from all her law enforcement friends, and or she actually was coached. But she said on testimony she wasn't, and she didn't need to do all of this. But some of her arguments were of silly things that she knew the answer to because she's been through 2 grand juries and a trial where these things came up, and so she knows this, and she's acting like she doesn't know this, okay? Like the search at 2:27 in the morning, the Google search, 2:27 in the morning. Wait till you see this. It's just ridiculous. She doesn't answer questions. She's unresponsive. She goes off on tangents. And then when the defense attorney tries to pull her back in, which is his right, because she's being unresponsive, the judge jumps in, and which she shouldn't be doing at all, right, and helps her out. Okay. And
I also, not to knock you off, just keep on that thought with your notes. Huma Fox, who's been around a very long time, she said she heard that Jennifer was more combative in the first trial, and we talked about this on our last live stream 2 days ago. It's night and day in the approach that she's taking, and it's because we feel that she was coached or she took some type of trial testimony course, or somebody with experience told her, you make eye contact with the jurors at all times, you do not show your emotions. But she wasn't coached that well, because she screwed up quite a bit today, because Alan Jackson did get her frustrated multiple times, and you could see it. And she said some things that, if jurors are listening, and we hope and pray that the jury they're the fact finders, we're hoping and praying that they're listening very, very keenly to this testimony. And if they are, they would catch on to what we're going to talk about. But Human, thank you for that.
Yeah. She was more combative in the last, only to the defense attorneys in the last trial. Okay. She's been told to tone it down. She's been told to try to make herself look likable and approachable, and this, the sports mom and all that rah-rah stuff, right? But she lost it today. She definitely lost it, especially at the end of the cross-examination. Okay. She's been caught in multiple lies. She doesn't know the definition of a lie, right? She doesn't understand that a lie, if you don't say it, then it's what's called a lie of omission. Okay, she must have this definition in her head, is that she actually has to say words to be a lie. Okay, like when she only told the FBI agents about 2 phone calls out of the 5 that she made in the 10 minutes that she made them wait. Okay, so as I said, she's got deleted texts that she was arguing about. She was arguing about the search of how's long to die in the cold or the snow or whatever it was supposed to be searching hypothermia or whatever. She and argumentative about everything. But that said, let's get into it, Ron.
Yeah, 100%. And I just wanted to acknowledge some of the chatters and some of the live chatters. They are what are most important to us on this Forensic Friday night. Joey Brooklyn, thanks for being here. He says, welcome, friends. Please hit the share and like button. Thank you, Dawn Marie, for being here. Both moderators, both great friends. Matthew, thank you for the $5. He says, when she was being asked about, I'm not sure, can you make that out? Proctor's note said, wouldn't a better answer just have been, I don't have control of what he wrote down? Oh, so he's basically saying about the notes of Trooper Proctor when Alan Jackson was asking her about that. Well, he wrote down that you said this, and she said, I don't know about what he wrote down. I don't have access to it. So he's saying, wouldn't have been better for her to say, I don't have control of what he writes down. But basically what he's writing down is her statements, right?
Yes. Well, Matthew, she had issue with every law enforcement officer's report of their interviews of her, because every one of them was wrong. Every one of them had things in it that she said she never said, or she never made that. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Kirikou. Nehoma. Anyhow, it just blows my mind how combative she got today, because she was doing, I'll give her that, she was doing quite well up until today. And, she's been caught in multiple lies now. She's been caught, nowhere in the grand jury does she say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Instead, it's just the opposite. In all of her interviews, the first couple of interviews, all right, then it was, could I have hit him? Might I have hit him? Did I hit him? It was always a question. It was never I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Okay. Then she never knew Kerry Peters, right? Kerry Peters.
You talking about
She never knew Kerry, KP, Kerry Peters, right? The one that also perjured herself in the grand jury. Kerry Roberts. I'm sorry, right. Kerry Roberts. Yeah, I'm getting my cases mixed up. Kerry Roberts, right? She never knew Kerry Roberts until that day, right? And then she realized that she could use Kerry Roberts, okay? And she became, for all intents and purposes, the useful stooge, okay? And she fed her information, she fed her lines, and she perjured herself in the grand jury. And not intentionally or technically, I didn't lie technically. But this stuff is just, and for no reasonable person can look at these first 8 days of testimony so far, okay, and say, with any seriousness, that they don't see the conspiracy here. Okay, it is over. Then you find out about how Proctor was using his personal phone not his department phone, and how many times he called and texted and Jennifer from the beginning to last year's trial. Okay, there's obscene amount of calls going back and forth.
Yeah.
I've never seen a witness have that much interaction. And remember, she wasn't there, right? She left that house, and then she went home and did her searches. And when she left, she didn't see a body lying on the front of the lawn. She didn't see a body on the front of the lawn after she went back and looked out of the door for the last time and saw that the car was gone and then texted. And
Right.
then she had a crazy amount of telephone calls to John O'Keefe. And she claimed they were butt dials, right? She had, 7 unanswered butt dials that she said that occurred. But this is all the while she's texting, and she had 2 phone calls in that time frame after 12 midnight on the day of his death that he did. There were communications going back and forth. Let's get into these videos and let's break this down for everybody.
I want to get the chat going. I'd love to put a poll up, but I was just in the middle of typing, so I'm going to stop. If you feel that in these 3 days, Jennifer McCabe's testimony has been credible, if you feel it's been credible, put a 1 in the chat. If you feel that she's not been credible or less than honest, put a 2, because I watched Court TV today, and I was a little disappointed in the talking heads and the host, Julie Grant. I usually like her, but today I was watching it, and they were all like saying that if you do not see that there's no collusion here and that nobody's being dishonest, and that Jennifer McCabe is a soccer mom and is a clean, wholesome, presents as a clean, wholesome woman who's just a witness for the state, and she's being badgered by the defense. And like, my head was spinning when I listened to 15 minutes of Court TV today, and I had to shut it off. I went and put on, like, I think this news, ABC News, because I just couldn't listen to it every time that there was a sidebar, and there was many sidebars. But it was just like I was listening to people that I felt were in a different zone. Like there was no in between. They were not even giving. It was just whoop one way, and it was disappointing to me. And the chat was going crazy. The chat, forget about it. You couldn't even look at the chat. It was just like total toxic. But Ed, I've got the timestamps. We have a lot to unpack. There's a lot of testimony. This is going to be from the first set of timestamps you sent to me at the 3:18 mark to 8:57. What are we going to be listening to here, Ed?
Okay, hold on a second here. I just want to add this caveat here. I don't have a vested interest in this other than the fact of justice. I can't stand injustice. I'm seeing injustice being perpetrated here. I have, Karen Reed is a person. I don't know her. It could be anybody. It could be any one of us that this is occurring to. Okay. And I let science and common sense and Occam's razor and lead me where I go.
Right.
Okay. All right. I have no bias here. And I've seen too many things that, again, if you believe in Occam's razor, which says all things being equal, the simplest of explanations tends to be the truth. So to get to this point with this convoluted conspiracy, you have to jog left, jog right, serpentine, make a left turn, make a right turn, do a U-turn. It's just crazy. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And how these people are acting, okay, is not reasonable.
Yeah.
And their interactions are not reasonable. And the investigation, well, I won't even call it an investigation.
You can't call it.
Because it wasn't an investigation, right? No forensics, none of the standards were followed, none of the standard interviewing techniques, none of the, investigation 101, none of that was done. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go with this. The first one here is, what's the timestamp?
3:18 to 8:57. Donna Barkley, thank you for the $5 super chat in honor of Deputy Brandon Sykes and a watch for 2625. May you rest in peace, brother, and thank you for your service. My heart and prayers go out to his family, the Sykes family. May Brandon rest in peace. We got it from here.
Okay, so yes, Donna. End of life. Rest in peace.
Yep, absolutely. And so what are we going to be listening to here, Ed? Or you want me to just play it and we'll go from there?
No. So what happens is one of the lies that she testified to in the previous trial in grand juries, that there was a time where she and Terry's daughter allegedly drove from a specific location to Sergeant Lank's house, okay, to drop off the daughter allegedly, okay, and now there was a problem here because there was just some kind of communication between them, and they had to figure out a way to establish what this was all about. And so, in that testimony in the previous trial in grand jury, she said she went straight from O'Keefe's house to Sergeant Lank's house. Let's roll the tape.
Was going to bring me home.
You stated on direct examination that, and you stated again today, that you stopped by Michael Lank's house, Sergeant Lank's house, directly from the O'Keefe residence as sort of a, my word, not yours, sort of a pit stop to drop off Carrie Roberts' daughter, correct?
Correct.
In point of fact, you actually drove from your personal residence to Michael Lank's house as a destination, didn't you?
I don't remember that. This is what this piece of paper says. I remember just leaving Meadows and dropping off Lexi.
In point of fact, it wasn't an errand. It wasn't to drop anybody off. It was a destination that you went to from your house to Sergeant Lank's house on January 30th, 2022, wasn't it?
No, we went to drop off Lexi.
Was Lexi at your house?
She was with us at Meadows, and then we went to drop her off.
Right. She was never with you at your house, was she?
I don't remember going to my house.
So if she wasn't with you at your house, there would be no reason to drop the child off from your house to Michael Lank's house, correct?
Lexi was in the car with us, and we dropped her off at Michael Lank's. That's why we went to Officer Lank's house. Yes.
And in point of fact, you actually went to your house and did make a stop to 34 before you went to Michael Lank's house.
We drove by and stopped, yes. Slowly stopped, yes.
You went in the house and spoke with someone.
No, I never went in the house. I think Carrie and I just went by to like take a look at it. We were still trying to figure everything out.
Stay there for 4 to 6 minutes.
All right, stop it for a second.
I have to look at the report, but yeah, we.
Okay, so she has the document in front of her because they tracked her movements, and they have exactly where she went when she said she went from the O'Keefe's house, John O'Keefe's house, directly to Sergeant's house. Well, she didn't actually do that at all. She went from O'Keefe's house. Well, first she started off at a different location, and then she went to from O'Keefe's house to her house. Then from her house, she went to her sister's house where John O'Keefe's body was found. Okay. And then from there, they went to Sergeant Lank's house. Okay. And then at Sergeant Lank's house, they said they stood outside in their car, and Sergeant Lank's wife came out, got in the car, and they were outside for 45 minutes talking that. And she only went into the house once to use the bathroom and then come back out to the car before they would go home. So she's caught in a lie here, right? That the documents prove her route that she took and where she stopped and how long she stopped. But she's trying to deny all of this.
Right.
All right.
And Shawana is got a great point. I've watched every word. The defense is trying to prove that she is a liar and impeach her. The witnesses so far have all been liars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and I honestly think you're right. And I honestly think the prosecutor knows this. And if in fact he does know this, that he's committing a crime. Okay, because he knows that his witnesses are perjuring themselves.
Let's let the rest of this rip. We're going to 8:57 here.
We were
Okay.
sitting in the car, kind of just like, oh my God, looking.
Didn't go in the house.
We didn't go in the house. No,
Nobody came outside to talk to you.
no,
You didn't speak to Nicole.
I don't believe so.
Possible.
Like I said, Carrie and I just kind of drove by and were looking at the area.
And that's before you went to Michael Lank's house, correct?
That was on the way to Michael Lank's.
So in point of fact, you didn't go directly from One Meadows to Michael Lank's house.
I thought I had. I truly thought I had. My memory is not. This isn't refreshing my memory. I do not remember going by my house before Michael Lank's.
Do you remember testifying a year ago that, well, let me ask it this way. Do you remember denying a year ago that you ever even stopped by 34 Fairview?
I don't remember that now.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your prior testimony?
Sure.
This is a bad look as jurors stare at her and listen to her every word.
Yeah, I like
Again,
it.
I notice eye
Take a look
rolling
at
on
that
the
page,
part
the
of
top highlight.
Jennifer McCabe as well. A lot of eye rolling. She looked thoroughly frustrated. And there it
I
is.
like
Right
it. Prosciutto sandwich, McLiar.
This went on all day.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. On May 21st of last year, you were asked about this very thing in a prior proceeding, correct?
Correct.
At that time, you denied altogether ever going by 34 Fairview, correct?
No, I believe the paper says I never stopped by, but we drove by.
And now you're saying that you did stop.
Stopping by and driving by meant something different to me. Stopping by, I look at as like, then you pop in the house. Driving by is you just drive by. So we just drove by slowly and kind of looked at the scene.
You were there for 7 minutes, according to that movement chart.
Yeah.
That's not driving by.
Yeah. According to the cell data, 7 minutes. Correct, Ed?
Yeah. Okay. She's caught in all these lies. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
Almost done.
I didn't speak with Nicole, no. We were in the car, Carrie and I and Lexi.
You were denying that you ever spoke with Nicole or any other member of the Albert family or anybody at 34 Fairview as you sit here today.
As I sit here today, I'm telling you that we slowly drove by.
So again, last question on this point. You did not, you now admit, drive from One Meadows over to Michael Lank's house directly to drop off Carrie's daughter.
My memory is we did drive from One Meadows. I know what this piece of paper says. I'm telling you that just my memory is we left Meadows and went down Fairview and then went to Michael Lank's. But this paper is saying we stopped at my house first. I don't remember that. But again, I was in shock.
That's right.
So a
All of
lot
your-
of things from that day are foggy. Certain things, certain details I may have forgotten.
And all of your testimony over the last several days is based on that memory that you just described to these jurors, correct?
There are certain things I'll never forget, correct?
He was saying your memory is foggy. And she just, obviously she didn't pick up on that, Ed, but he basically is saying, is that what you're telling this jury here, that your memory in all of your testimony has been foggy? And
Remember, all the defense has to do is create reasonable doubt.
Mhm.
Okay. And if her memory is that bad, then yeah, okay, it's reasonable doubt. But she's a liar, a proven liar. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What do we have?
We go to the 116 mark, I guess, when they return here. Let me just get this queued up. We're looking at the infamous fan, Ed. We don't want to give our loyal friends who are here watching with us the old fan, right?
No.
It's traumatizing. So we're going to go right to when they pick up after a short sidebar.
Proctor or Michael Proctor prior to September 2023, end quote.
I had never met Elizabeth.
Here we go.
Next question.
May I? Did you tell Trooper Tully, quote, you had never met Elizabeth Proctor or Michael Proctor prior to September 2023, end quote?
I had never met Elizabeth
That's not my
Proctor
question.
prior. Well, there was a,
Did you tell Trooper Tully, Lieutenant Tully, that quote?
if I can break that quote up because it's two thick parts.
No, you can't.
So
my
this has
question
been
is my
asked and answered. Move on, Mr.
All right, stop that. Stop it right there. That Judge Bev is bullshit right there. It has not been asked and answered. He asked her a simple question. Have you ever told this trooper that you have never met Michael Proctor and his wife before this date? She either did or she didn't. Okay, it's in writing in his report because there's another report that he wrote after interviewing her that she said that to him, and she's saying she won't answer the question. She's obfuscating, okay, and she's deflecting, okay, and that judge should have never stepped in and said answer because she never answered it.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that sees this?
You're not alone.
All right.
Ed. You're not alone. Many people see it, but some people just choose to put a blind eye to this, and that the judge is just doing her job. She is blatant in what she's doing here, and she does not even care. That's it. Just brings me to the point of like how, and this is not a great example, but like when we watched those prison guards up in Marcy Correctional, like it was like standard operating procedure for them to beat Robert Brooks to death. This is almost like Judge Bev is stopping the defense from doing what they're trying to do here, doing their job. And then when the prosecution gets up and starts their calling their witnesses, there's none of this. There's no hostility from her.
I mean, there's a retired judge from up that way who did an editorial on her, Judge Bev, from what she's seeing, and she's outraged.
Mm-hmm.
And when a person makes an objection, the judge has to give a ruling. It's either sustained or overruled. Not, I will allow that, or can you answer that question? Do you know did you lie? Asking questions of the witness is not an appropriate response. Okay. She's doing so many things that are called reversible error that are setting up the foundation, should you get a conviction, to appeal.
Right.
Okay. She's so much biased. It's obvious to me how biased she is in this case. Okay. And then you got to ask yourself why. Why?
Yes.
What's going on here? Okay. Let's move on.
Guilty of crime. Thank you for being here. Good to see you, Jay. Always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. All right, this is we fast forward to the 117:30 mark. Ed,
You've indicated on direct examination and earlier on cross-examination that you had multiple phone calls to Mr. O'Keefe in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Those phone calls ranged from about 12:14 a.m. until about 12:50 a.m., correct?
There was a call at 12:14 and then at 12:18.
I'm sorry, I'm bracketing it. The calls
I
were between,
apologize.
that's okay, 12:14 all the way to about 12:50, correct?
Are you saying 15?
50,
Oh,
50.
50. Oh, sorry. I apologize.
You know, they can't speak up in Massachusetts, and they apparently can't hear either.
Yes.
You called John O'Keefe at 12:14 and 31 seconds, lasting about 49 seconds, and that call was answered, correct?
Yes.
And you see that reflected in Exhibit 26. Is that right?
Yes.
Going in reverse chronological order on this exhibit, you also see a call at 12:18 and 47 seconds, wherein John O'Keefe calls your phone lasting about 36 seconds. Is that right?
Yes.
You know that call was answered, even though it says it says unknown in the document, correct?
It does say unknown. Yes.
That 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth column over. That's where it says unknown.
Yes.
But it also indicates that call lasted 36 seconds, so you know it was answered.
I don't know from this record it was answered, but I know from my memory that I spoke to him a second time. Yes.
You also made a call, moving out to the page before this, starting at the bottom of the page, at 12:29 and 44 seconds. There was a call from you to John O'Keefe's phone lasting 7 seconds, correct?
That's what it says.
And the record indicates that it was an answered phone call, correct?
According to the record, it was answered, but I never spoke to him.
You deny speaking to John O'Keefe at 12:29 and 44 seconds.
Yes, I never spoke to him after 12:18.
Okay. Moving up.
But you text him.
12:41 and 10
She certainly did text them multiple times.
seconds. There was a call from you to John O'Keefe's phone indicating that was missed. You see where it says missed?
I do.
12:41 and 59 seconds. There was another call from your phone to John's phone, and that was also indicated as missed. Correct?
Correct.
12:43, 19 seconds. You called John O'Keefe. That was a missed call.
Correct.
12:46 and 16 seconds. You called John O'Keefe's phone, and that was a missed call.
Correct.
12:47 and 52 seconds. You called John O'Keefe's phone, and that was a missed call.
I'm sorry, which one was that?
12:47 and 52 seconds.
Yes.
At 12:50 and 37 seconds, you called John O'Keefe's phone, and that was a missed call as well.
Yes.
Ms. McCabe, there's 7 calls. That you indicate you made to John O'Keefe's phone and that were missed. Is that right?
According to this record, yes, they were
And
called.
that comports with your memory, correct? You indicated that you had called him multiple times that morning and there were missed calls, right?
I called him, but I also think that some of the calls I might have done inadvertently.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second. My question is that comports with your memory that there were several calls, according to the records, there were several calls made to John O'Keefe's phone, including 2 calls that you say you spoke to him, 12:14 and 12:18.
I spoke to him at 12:14 and 12:18, yes.
But you indicate every single call after that was missed, and you deny making those calls.
I'm not denying it. I just don't remember.
You've previously given explanation for what those calls were, these 7 calls that were missed between about 12:29 and about 12:50. That's 19 minutes. You'll agree, correct?
Yes.
If you divide 19 by 7, that's about every 2.5 minutes or 2.7 minutes, your phone is calling John O'Keefe's phone, correct?
Correct.
You previously explained what you attribute to those phone calls. Is that right?
Yes.
What's your explanation?
I think I was going back and forth to the door. I was texting him. I think I put my phone in my pocket. I think I inadvertently maybe have called him.
What did you call it at the last hearing?
I believe I called it a butt dial.
And it's not just one butt dial, correct?
There could be multiple, yes.
7 butt dials in the course of 19 minutes, less than 20 minutes, correct?
That evening, I wasn't paying attention to butt dials or calls. I was going back and forth, listening to music, being with family. So if I inadvertently called his phone, I did.
Not inadvertently called him once. 7 times, correct? According to you.
According to the record.
And we only know about these calls because you're looking at an extraction of John O'Keefe's phone, correct?
Correct. But I also turned over my phone, so you could have gotten all of that off of my phone as well.
And you're well aware that an extraction was done on your phone and not one of those butt dials appears on your phone extraction, correct? Objection.
Are you aware of that?
I am not aware of that.
Next question.
How could she not be aware of it? It came out in the last trial.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, she's lying, and she deleted all of those phone calls.
And Judge Bev, when the kitchen, it's getting hot in the kitchen, she says, next question.
And how does Judge Bev not know this? Because she sat on the freaking bench the last trial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not as if this is new. Unbelievable.
Yeah. You know, the butt dials, it's just, for me, it's just amazing the amount of, I want to say this, but I'm going to refrain from cursing. The amount of fuckery that's going on here, and I had to do it, I had to say it, is just off the charts. I mean, again, as professionals that you talked about on our last live stream, almost 400 trial testimony you've given in the past.
Never seen anything like this. I've never seen a judge like her. Nope.
Insane. And
Next
just
one.
scan the chat as I go to the next one. Take some questions from our live audience. We love our live audience, and thank you all for being here. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up.
I saw something here. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Where'd it go? It was about, yeah, here you go. Aunt Nancy, 100%. She injected herself into the trial. She doesn't do that. She's like a coach at the football team is racing downfield. Their momentum is heading there, and they're setting up for a field goal or whatever the case may be. And just before the kickers, they're going to snap the play and try to kick a field goal. They call a timeout to try to bust up the momentum. And that's what she does to the defense when the defense is on a roll. Okay. Oh, man.
All right. I got the next one queued
All
up.
right.
All right. So you want to set this up?
No, just go with it. Go with it.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
You don't remember, as you sit here, you don't remember.
I don't.
You have nothing in your mind about Google search 227A. That's what you're testifying to in front of this jury right now.
Are you asking me if I made a Google search at 227? Yes. I don't know what time I was searching for Hockomock Sports and Ozone. I have no idea what time that was.
You're well aware that your records have been told, correct?
Yes, they have.
You've been confronted with those records many times, haven't you?
I've been asked by you, yes.
And by others, right?
Yes.
I mean, the police have asked you about it. You've been interviewed about it.
I've been asked by you.
And Mr. Lally?
Yeah, Mr. Lally asked about it, yes.
And every time you're asked, it's about a Google search at 2:27 a.m. That's all I'm asking.
It is, but it's not one that I remember doing or making or did. It's not one I did. It's just one that is in a record that was misread.
Are you denying that you made a Google search at 2:27 a.m.?
If you could show me this Google search, I'd appreciate it.
This was done in the trial last year. She already knows this. Everybody in the court knows that this Google search at 2:27. How long in the snow, right? How long to die in the snow or whatever, to die in the cold.
To die in the cold. Now, Ed, how could her mind be so clear about her sports searches, those two searches that she very clearly spoke about, but this one that is important to the death and murder of police officer John O'Keefe, she has no recollection of. It's amazing that when the state, when the prosecution, the Commonwealth questions her, her mind is sharp. But when the defense starts questioning her on some of the things, she, by her own admission, cannot recall. She
testified to this last year. The judge knows this. The defense knows this. The prosecutors, the only people that don't know this should be the jury, right? If they were honest when they were being selected. Okay. But you know, to be this combative and going back and forth when she knows the truth of the matter.
Yeah. Let's listen to 10 more seconds of this.
Can I have Molly on?
Yes.
Listen to what happens when he comes back here.
Your Honor, I need a quick minute to find the record that I did not make here.
All right, so he's looking for something else to hit her with here. Ed, again, so many questions in the chat, and everybody is got many questions for us. But one of them came up, and look, it's a fair question. Do you? This is what was posed to both of us. Do you think Karen Read? Do you guys both feel Karen Read is innocent? I'll let you go first.
Well, I'm basing it solely on the science, okay, of the accident reconstruction, the crash daddies, okay. Based on that, he was not hit with a car. Based on the testimony of the dog bite specialist, the doctor, the medical doctor, the injuries on his arms were caused by a dog, okay, not being hit by a car. Based upon the fact that the medical examiner cannot give a manner of death, I believe she did not hit him with that car and cause his death. All right. And then all of this, the conspiracies, the text messages, all of this stuff that you will see, it just all, again, all things being equal. What did I tell you about Occam's razor? All things being, so you have the prosecutor's side and the defense side. Now, they're both considered equal. All things being equal, which one is the simplest explanation for what happened? Okay? It's not the car. It's a potential argument that turned into a fight with some drunken cops off duty where they had a beef with a love triangle and another issue with the family of the Alberts. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, again, going by the science, and, you know, I'll take it one step further, Ed. We are seasoned at interview and interrogation. Listen, I did many of these things during the course of my career. I've sat in on many expert, I've sat in with detectives who are wizards at interview and interrogation. When you listen to these witnesses, for the prosecution, for the Commonwealth, in the first trial, and now here we'll hear them in the second, it's so easy to see with our own eyes whether these people are being honest about it. And I've yet to see anybody get up on that stand that was completely believable. When you look at all of the players in this thing that were called as witnesses in trial number one, and we're going to see some of them here, go right down the list. Trooper Proctor, Brian Albert, I could just go on and on. They all had fugazi, as we say, the fugazi stuff.
The timelines aren't matching up.
He took his phone. He got rid of his phone, Brian Albert, and said, I was, around my your birthday, you're ready for an upgrade. So I just did an upgrade and I lost all my data. Come on.
Higgins goes on through military base and busts up his phone and dumps it in the dumpsters. Okay. Come on. Let's see. I was born at night, but not last night. Okay.
All right. We're at the 2:08 mark, Ed. This brings us to the end of the first timestamps that you sent to me, 2:08:21. Let's take a listen to this. More of Jennifer McCabe's testimony.
Wait. Okay, just play it.
Ms. McCabe, who was most engaged in that clip with law enforcement between and among you and Kerry Roberts and Miss Reed?
Right away, I
was.
Stop right now.
You noticed when...
Okay, so they have the dash cam on the one police cruiser, and it's filming everything in front of it, right? And so what they're looking at is all these interactions between the three ladies, Kerry, Karen, and Jennifer. And now he posed that question to Jennifer McCabe, who had the most interaction with these law enforcement people? And let's continue.
By the way, the bird is cursing. I hope you guys can't hear it. He's laughing, cursing, and whistling. He's just going nuts. Popeye is going nuts right now.
Because he knows bullshit when he hears it.
He knows horseshit bullshit when he hears it. Hold on, Ed. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do when they come for you? All right, here we go.
On the gurney in a prior clip and moved past you, correct?
Yes.
Let's move it up.
If that happened, it wasn't on purpose.
Back it up. Just a little bit. She's being asked now, as she's on the video of the dash cam, and John O'Keefe's body is being taken to the ambulance. And when the body passes her, she turns her back to him.
Do you want me to go to the body cam?
No, just let the question come out. That's what I was looking for, the question.
Okay, here it comes.
Ms. McCabe, who was most engaged in that clip with law enforcement between and among you and Kerry Roberts and Miss Reed?
I was.
You noticed when Mr. O'Keefe was placed on the gurney in a prior clip and moved past you, correct?
Yes.
Did you notice what your reaction was when that gurney?
Hold on to that question.
I didn't know.
Did you see that you turned your back completely? Mr. O'Keefe?
If that happened, it wasn't on purpose.
Okay, stop. Did you hear what she said about her turning her back to John as they're walking past her? You know how in many of Hank Brennan's arguments, he says consciousness of guilt. He claimed certain things that the defendant did were consciousness of guilt. I tell you, turning your back to a person that you supposedly love, who's now dead, in this case, is consciousness of guilt.
Amen, brother.
Let's continue.
When you got to the scene, we can take that down. When you got to the scene at 6:03 in the morning, you immediately recognized, did you not, that this was an emergency situation?
This is key right here.
High intensity emergency situation, correct?
This is key what he cornered her in here. We know where this is going. But listen closely to Alan Jackson as he cross-examines Jennifer McCabe on the moment and the moments thereafter when they discovered police officer John O'Keefe non-responsive on the front lawn of 34 Fairview, Brian Alberts, the homeowner. And listen to what happens here in this exchange.
And listen to her answers and ask yourself, first of all, Did the defense attorney ask her about what she's going to answer? And is it reasonable? Are her answers reasonable? Go ahead.
Emergency situation, yes.
As a matter of fact, a man's life was in grave danger. You knew that.
Yes, I did.
And this is someone that was a friend of yours, correct?
Yes, he was a dear friend.
Not just a friend, but a police officer who was laying, as far as you knew, dying in the snow. Is that right?
Yes.
You knew that you needed to get immediate medical attention, emergency medical attention to him as quickly as you possibly could. Is that right?
Yes.
You knew that minutes counted, right?
Yes.
You knew that seconds counted, correct?
Correct.
This man was grasping, as far as you knew, grasping and clinging to life at that moment. Is that right?
Yes.
That's why you called 911, to get emergency personnel who are trained in CPR and life-saving measures to the scene, to the gentleman, to Mr. O'Keefe, as quickly as you possibly could, correct?
Yes.
You called 911 at about 6:03 and 35 seconds. Is that right? I don't expect you to know down to the second, but it was about a couple of minutes after 6.
Right after, yeah, we found him, yes.
And you're aware from the dash cam that Officer Seraph got there about 6:10, almost on the nose, right?
I didn't pay attention to the time.
You'll agree with me that there was about 6.5 minutes or so between the time you called 911 and the time Officer Seraph got there. Is that right?
If that's what the dash cam says, yes.
On that 911 call, you referred to John O'Keefe as a man passed out in the snow.
Yes.
You didn't say, "This is my friend."
I needed to get, like you said, emergency there. So
Did
I
you
wasn't
say,
going to
"This is
give
my
a I wasn't going to give a description and say my friend is in the snow. I was going to give them the information that I thought was the most important at the time.
How about saying a Boston police officer is unresponsive on the front lawn of another Boston police officer's house? How about that?
Yeah, it's going to get there. Keep going.
Did you say his name?
Anybody that's friends with cops, anybody that has a brother-in-law that's a cop, that your dear friend who you love, John O'Keefe, police officer John O'Keefe, if you're a dear friend of a police officer and you have police in your family, you damn well know, lady, that if you call 911 and you say, "I got a cop that's in trouble, I got a cop that was injured, I got a cop that's in an accident," 911 is going to step up. And the defense attorney Jackson doesn't say this, but he really puts
Yeah, he does say it. He does say it. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, let's let it go.
Name?
I just said a man because that was the most important identifying.
You didn't say John.
Eventually in the 911, I do say his name.
You didn't initially say O'Keefe, correct?
No, none of that matters. It was a man in the snow and I
you
wanted
didn't
help
say,
there.
And you didn't say he's a Boston police officer or an off-duty police officer.
Again, a man needed help.
Yes or no? Did you
No,
say that?
I didn't.
Do you think that might, yes or no? Do you think that might have sped things up if they knew, if the 911 operator knew that this was a fallen officer, a fellow officer?
I think 911 comes to everyone equally. I don't think they would have.
Bullshit.
Do you think that might have been something important to relay to the 911 official?
That's a slap in the face to the O'Keefe family. And I feel sorry for them sitting there having to listen to this.
Listen. She's got family members that are in the Canton PD. She's got family members that were in Boston PD. She knows this. What she's saying is horseshit.
I can't even believe that she made that she responded like that.
Time you called 911 and the time Officer Seraph got there. Is that right?
If that's what the dash cam says, yes.
On that 911 call, you referred to John O'Keefe as a man passed out in the snow.
Yes.
You didn't say, "This is my friend."
I needed to get, like you said, emergency there. So
Did
I
you
wasn't
say-
going to
How
give it.
how much time would it have taken you to say we
wasn't
got a down police officer?
2 seconds.
Give a description and say my friend is in the snow. I was going to give them the information that I thought was the most important at the time.
Did
And
you say his name?
I just said a man because that was the most important identifying.
You didn't say John.
Eventually in the 911, I do say his name.
You didn't initially say O'Keefe, correct?
No, none of that matters. It was a man in the snow, and
And
I
you didn't
wanted
say-
help there.
And you didn't say he's a Boston police officer or an off-duty police officer.
Again, a man needed help.
Yes or no? Did you
No.
say that?
I didn't.
Do you think that might, yes or no? Do you think that might have sped things up if they knew, if the 911 operator knew that this was a fallen officer, a fellow officer?
I think 911 comes to everyone equally. I don't think they would have.
Do you think that might have been something important to relay to
Oh,
the
hell
911
no.
officials?
I don't know.
You even asked by the 911 operator, does anybody know CPR? And your answer was no, correct?
I'd have to listen to it to remember my exact answers.
But it was basically in the negative. No, we're not professionals. We're just out here doing the best we can, correct?
I wouldn't say that, no.
You didn't believe Karen Reed knew CPR?
I didn't know. I don't think I answered that question. I don't think it
You
was
didn't-
asked.
You didn't know if Gary Roberts knew CPR, correct?
I didn't know if they knew CPR, correct?
And none of you were paramedics.
No,
None of you are first responders.
no,
None of you are trained in emergency life-saving techniques in any way, correct?
correct.
I have a question, Ms. McCabe.
Mhm.
On all of Fairview, the entire road between Chapman and Cedar Crest, can you think of any person on that road who might have had life-saving techniques trained into them? First responder, someone who knew how to deal with someone in distress, someone with high skill level training. Do you think of anyone on Fairview who had that kind of training?
Can I now or did I then? Which are you asking?
Did you then?
No, then my focus was on John O'Keefe.
Okay, let me narrow the focus. How about on the property? How about 34 Fairview? Could you think of anyone that was a first responder who would have life-saving training, life-saving technique training under his belt?
Yes, my brother-in-law, Brian Albert.
And you didn't go in the house, did you?
No, I did not.
When you arrived at the scene, you didn't go in? Not until much later, correct?
Ed,
Yeah.
30, 40 feet maybe from the curb to the front door, right? That front easement there, the front property, the grass, maybe 30, 40 feet.
Mhm.
She could have ran up that driveway, knocked on the door, made the dog start barking. As we know, that dog barks at everybody. The dog was already probably barking, and she testified that the dog didn't bark.
To believe what she's saying here and what she's about to say even more, just, you'd have to believe in fairy tales. I mean, because this is not reasonable, no common sense whatsoever, and it goes to her guilt. Okay,
I would go one step further, Ed. If you took any police officer, forget about Boston, any police officer in the world, and you let him listen or her listen to this, they would tell you that anybody that knows anything about 911 and police and first responders and EMS and fire and paramedics, if you make a 911 call and say, I have an injured police officer here, it's an officer down call, and everybody comes, lights and sirens. When we had those 1013s code, officer needs assistance 1085, that's New York City. Officer needs assistance, those kind of calls, we would lights and sirens and go fast to get there, to give, to help. So if you pull any cop that retired, active, I don't care if they're 80 years old, they would tell you that this woman is full of shit.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but you guys got to listen to the rest of this if you haven't heard it. Listen to it. Unbelievable.
All right, here we go.
What she's about to do now is unbelievable. Go ahead.
Focus was John.
You knew that Brian Albert was inside the house. You'd just been with him hours earlier, correct?
Yes,
You knew that his window was 30 feet away. You're staring at it. You could look at it if you wanted to, correct?
it's off to an angle.
And you didn't go in the house then either.
I did not know.
You knew that John O'Keefe was clinging to life during those precious minutes and seconds. Is that right?
I did, yes.
And you also knew that Brian Albert, your brother-in-law, was a first responder trained to deal with people in that kind of distress, correct?
In that moment, my only thoughts were John and everything we could do for John.
And you knew that there were warm blankets inside the house. Is that right?
I did. Yes, there were warm blankets in the house.
And you
Those
still
weren't-
never went in, did you?
No, I went and attended to John because once I finished calling 911, I went over to John and Kerry Roberts asked me to take over compressions. So I
And-
felt like that was more important and 911 was on the way. I never thought about going in the house. I just thought, how can I help John?
Here
You
it
never
comes,
thought of
folks.
going in the house.
Say again, Ed.
Here it comes.
But you did pull out your cell phone and make 2 phone calls, didn't you?
After I called 911, I tried calling my sister, yes.
While John was out in the cold, clinging to life, you weren't doing chest compressions at 6:07 and 6:08, were you?
I was walking over when I was calling.
You were calling your sister on the phone, weren't you? Okay.
I was calling them to see if they would come out, but I was going right over to work on him.
And you could have walked 25 feet to the front.
She knows that she is busted right here. Look at her face. I got to back it up a little bit. I mean, he's got her red-handed. She made 2 phone calls, not 1, 2. She did not rush over to help and take over the chest compressions on police officer John O'Keefe. She made 2 fucking phone calls.
Yeah, she's calling her sister
911.
in the house.
Calling her sister in the very house where she could have just said, you know what, Kerry, stay here. I'm going to run and I'm going to get my brother-in-law and he's going to come out here and help. This is a fellow Boston cop that
Okay.
is down on his front lawn, and she didn't do that.
She's about to give us an admission of guilt right now. Go ahead, play it.
I went over to John and Kerry Roberts asked me to take over compressions. So I felt like that was more important and 911 was on the way. I never thought about going in the house. I just thought, how can I help John?
You never thought about going in the house, but you did pull out your cell phone and make 2 phone calls, didn't you?
After I called 911, I tried calling my sister, yes.
While John was out in the cold, clinging to life, you weren't doing chest compressions at 6:07 and 6:08, were you?
I was walking over when I was calling.
You were calling your sister on the phone, weren't you? Okay.
I was calling them to see if they would come out, but I was going right over to work on him.
And you could have walked 25 feet to the front door, walked in the house, and screamed for Brian to come out and help you in those precious seconds and minutes, couldn't you?
That would have taken me away from helping John, getting Kerry blankets, giving him compressions.
And making those 2 very important phone calls at 6:07 and 6:08 that you say were not answered. Correct?
They were not important phone calls. I tried to call my sister and then I focused on John.
They were not important phone calls, but they were important enough for you to make while John is clinging to life right there in front of you, right?
As I was walking over, I called to see if she would answer.
And she didn't answer. Let's talk about that. She didn't
No.
answer according to you.
So if we're going to talk about it, we're beyond the luncheon break.
Your Honor, I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
She was trying to rescue her here. Ed.
Yes, she was.
Did anybody
She was-
get that from Judge Bev here, that she was trying to give Jennifer McCabe a little bit of relief because she was being hammered by
She was trying to break his momentum. He's on
Yeah.
a roll, and she's trying to stop it. But thank God he got it. Go ahead, roll it, man.
And I'll wrap it.
Okay.
Let's talk about that real quick.
What?
She didn't and help you in those precious seconds and minutes, couldn't she?
That would have taken me away from helping John, getting Kerry blankets, giving him compressions.
And making those 2 very important phone calls at 6:07 and 6:08 that you say were not answered. Correct?
They were not important phone calls. I tried to call my sister and then I focused on John.
They were not important phone calls, but they were important enough for you to make while John is clinging to life right there in front of you, right?
As I was walking over, I called to see if she would answer.
And she didn't answer. Let's talk about that. She didn't
No.
answer according to you.
So if we're going to talk about it, we're beyond the luncheon break.
Your Honor, I have 2 more questions,
Okay.
and I'll wrap it.
Okay.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
She didn't answer the phone, did she?
No, she didn't.
So you have a situation where a man is laying dead or dying in the front yard of your sister's house. You see nothing in terms of life inside the house. Lights aren't coming on. They're not getting up. They're certainly not coming outside, right?
They were sound asleep.
They weren't coming outside, were they?
Because they were asleep.
You didn't know if they were asleep. All you knew was there was a severely injured man on the front lawn of their house, and your sister didn't answer the phone, not once, but twice, correct?
Correct. She didn't answer the phone.
Did you think your sister might have been in peril? Did you think to go inside the house and check that they're okay?
I had no reason to think that they weren't okay.
You had no
Stop.
They were okay, man.
This is unbelievable, Ed. I'm putting us back on because
She had no reason to think that because she knew what had happened.
correct.
Okay?
That
This is the admission of guilt. Okay,
this is-
continue, but you got to see the rest of it, Ron.
I mean, this is huge because for those of us that, or those of the listening audience and the live viewers and a replay, if you look at this, anybody with common sense, anybody that is saying, wait a minute, you got to be thinking about the jury here. The jury is supposed to know nothing about this. And if they're listening closely to this, you are in front of your sister's house and there's a dead man on the front lawn. His face and his body looked like he went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. You don't have even a thought that my sister's not, maybe she's dead. Maybe my brother-in-law's dead.
Right.
Maybe
They're
there's
not answering the phone. They're not all this noise and disturbance out here, and they're not coming out. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Play the rest.
Sir.
And she didn't answer. Let's talk about that. She didn't answer according to you.
So if we're going to talk about it, we're
I
beyond.
didn't go back all the way.
All right, 2 more questions.
Okay.
And
Ron, you're teasing me, Ron.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
She didn't answer the phone, did she?
No, she didn't.
So you have a situation where a man is laying dead or dying in the front yard of your sister's house. You see nothing in terms of life inside the house. Lights aren't coming on. They're not getting up. They're certainly not coming outside, right?
They were sound asleep
They weren't coming
I didn't know
outside.
that.
because they were asleep.
You didn't
Chris,
know.
how
they
would you
were-
know that?
All you knew was there were.
She looked at the jury like she was sure that they were asleep. How, Ed?
How could she know that? How could she know that?
Was a severely injured man on the front lawn of their house, and your sister didn't answer the phone, not once, but twice, correct?
Correct. She didn't answer the phone.
Did you think your sister might have been in peril? Did you think to go inside the house and check that they're okay?
I had no reason to think that they weren't okay.
You had no reason
She stumbled over her words, Ed. Did you see that?
Yeah, let it go. Let it
to
go.
believe they weren't okay. A man was dead and dying on their lawn, and your sister's not answering the phone, and nobody is coming out to the chaos of Karen Reed screaming on the front lawn. You didn't think there was some reason to believe they could have been in peril?
I didn't because your client was screaming she hit him. She had a cracked taillight.
Oh boy.
She was crying she hit him. I didn't, but my focus. Can I finish, please?
You had solved the crime right then and there. You
Stop
solved
right
the
now.
case.
Stop.
No, I didn't. I knew John never.
Okay. You heard what she said. Because I knew Karen had hit him with the car. And he said, you solved the crime right here. No, she knew that her family had beat him, whether it was on purpose or an accident. And that's why he's in front of their lawn right now. Okay? Unbelievable.
I'll play
Play
it back.
it. Play
I
it.
didn't because your client was screaming she hit him. She had a cracked taillight. She was crying she hit him. I didn't, but my focus. Can I finish, please?
You had solved the crime right then and there. You solved the whole case.
No, I didn't. I knew John never came in the house, so I had no concern for anyone's safety inside the house.
The reason you didn't go inside the house is because you knew better. You knew better. You knew she wasn't in peril. You knew that Brian Albert wasn't in peril. You weren't worried at all about them, were you?
I was not worried at all because something happened on the front lawn that had nothing to do with anything inside that house.
You weren't worried about them at all because you knew what really happened, didn't you?
At that moment, I didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found
You
next to him.
just said before that he was. You need to back it up a little bit because she says unsolicited, she says, because I knew, she said, I hit him, and John was never in the house.
You solved the crime right then and there. You solved the whole case.
No, I didn't.
A little bit further back, right?
Yeah, just a little, right there.
Hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute, Wallace.
Stop breathing down my neck.
You SOB, Wallace.
You solved the crime right then and there. You solved the whole case.
No, I didn't. I knew John never came in the house, so I had no concern for anyone's safety.
Why'd you bring
inside
John
the
up?
house.
Why'd you bring up John in the house? Okay.
I knew.
Again, it's another admission that she knew that John went in that house and what had happened.
Yeah.
You didn't go inside the house is because you knew better. You knew better. You knew she wasn't in peril. You knew that Brian Albert wasn't in peril. You weren't worried at all about them, were you?
I was not worried at all because something happened on the front lawn that had nothing to do with anything inside that house.
You weren't worried about them at all because you knew what really happened, didn't you?
Okay, stop it.
At that moment, I didn't.
Right, she's going to give us some bullshit. She didn't know that there was a car accident when she just said, I knew there was a car accident. Okay? Because she knew that was, they were going to pin it on Karen. Okay? Now, tell me, folks, is that reasonable? What she just said, is what she said reasonable? Could that be a possibility of how things went down? I don't think so.
We ask our audience and everybody says no. I don't think there's going to be many people that would say yes to this. And look, if you're looking at this with a clear lens, this is blatant. This is blatant just on this one witness. I mean, come on. You just, I don't know.
Know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found next to him.
There was no taillight found at that time. She didn't know any taillight then.
There was
So
no,
you know,
they had to come and dig around and do all of
two
this.
searches and they hadn't found the taillight. The taillights came later.
Bev quickly puts the water on the fire and puts an end to this. And they break for lunch.
Nothing to do with anything inside that house.
You weren't worried about them at all because you knew what really happened, didn't you?
At that moment, I didn't know that he was hit by a vehicle and there was taillight found next to him.
Yeah.
All right, jurors, lunch and break.
Go to the next one. I mean, we took this out of order because that was at the end of cross, but there's another section here that you got to see with these text messages. All right. It was in the last trial. You should have seen it in the last trial. There's one text message that jumps out. Well, actually, there's several that jump out at me as admissions of guilt. Okay. And their knowledge of what actually happened. Hey, Oblivious Benson is in the house.
Oh, good to see you, OB.
Obey. Lieutenant Dan, ice cream. She loves my Forrest Gump impression.
Yeah, that always gets Ed going, I gotta say. All right, so we're at the 119 mark. This is going to be the text messages. Ed, you want to set this up, or do you want me
just let it roll? Just let it roll. You're gonna see a series of text messages from their group.
You may not consider the statements for their truth.
Oh, God.
You may consider them solely for the limited purpose of understanding the state of mind of here, Ms. McCabe, when she
Go back a little further.
Mr. Jack.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Here it is. Mr.
Margaret.
Wolf is queuing it up.
Witness might need that exhibit.
Your Honor, may I approach just to retrieve the exhibit?
Yes.
Bubba gum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was just going to say, could you please enlarge that?
Any way to make that bigger? It will take one bubble at a time.
That's
Ms.
what she
McCabe,
said.
do you need lights on or are you
You
on?
gotta get that
Thank you.
Closed caption out of there. Yeah.
Ms.
Okay.
McCabe, does this appear to be a representative copy of what you're looking at? It's just been marked for
I'm
for
closing
evidence.
it off of this.
Yes, it does.
Starting at that top text, which is the green bubble here. Can you see at the very top where it says from, there's a redaction?
Yes.
The last 4 digits of that phone number, do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that your phone number?
Yes.
Do you see just beneath it, it says 2, and there's a line that says Coco?
Yes.
Is that your sister?
Yes, it
That's
is.
Nicole.
Yes.
And if you look down on the bottom right corner of this exhibit, do you see a time and date stamp?
Yes, I do.
What is that time and date?
It's 1:29:22 at 7:54.
Is that 7:54 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Can you read for the jurors what you texted to your sister at 7:54?
Sure. Carrie talked to the cops and kept it simple.
Who's Carrie?
Carrie Roberts.
And this is a text that you sent about Miss Roberts's interview with the police.
Yes, it is.
If Mr. Woke, can we pull up the next text, please?
Why would a witness do this? Why would a witness do this? They should have known not to be sharing information with other witnesses.
Bubble?
Yes, I do.
Who's responding to whom?
I'm responding to my sister, Nicole.
Can you please tell us the time? And we know it's the same date. What time is that?
That would be 7:56 or 58. Sorry. I'm not sure if that's an 8 or a 6.
I may have misheard you. The blue bubble is from whom?
It's from my sister, Nicole,
To whom?
to me.
Okay, I may have misheard you. I thought you said the reverse. I want to make sure we're very clear. The blue
Okay.
bubble is from Nicole. The green bubbles are from you.
Yes, correct.
Got it. And this text says, I'm sorry, read that for me one more time.
Sure. Okay. Try and get some sleep. Talk tomorrow.
Next text, please. What's the time of this text?
7:57.
This is from you to Coco, to Nicole.
Yes.
What does that text say?
Any update?
What did you mean by any update?
I meant had she heard anything or learned anything new?
Next text, please. Do you see a response from your sister to you?
Yes.
What does that say?
We'll get more info tomorrow. Don't want to text about it.
Text, please.
Well, thank God they didn't follow those instructions.
Is this a text from you to your sister, Nicole?
Yes, it is.
What does that say?
Right.
Next text, please. What is the date and time of this text?
It is 1:29 and 2022 at 8:01 p.m.
And this is in response to the text that you just read from you to your sister. And this
Yeah.
is now a text from your sister back to you, correct?
Correct.
What does this text say?
Okay, text me in AM or if you hear anything later.
Thank you. We can bring the lights up for just a moment.
Does this sound like witnesses or people that are worried about something?
One of the texts, the third
Yeah,
from the bottom text
Doesn't sound like
on the
witnesses.
second page, in other words, the top text on the page, was from your sister to you. We'll get more info, TOMM, correct?
Yes.
Don't want to text about it, correct?
Yes.
Why? Why?
TOMM means
If they have nothing to hide, why are they saying don't want to text about it? Think about that.
Yeah, now there's going to be a series of texts that they're not going to show the slides for. I don't know why, but here it comes.
tomorrow.
Yes.
This was January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
Tomorrow would have been January 30th,
Yes.
2022. Is that right?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm holding another document. This is a multi-page document. 8 pages in total length. There's a base page on the bottom, 0, 2, 1, or 8. Thank you. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you please take a look at that document, flip through it, and let me know when you're finished?
This is the document we discussed at sidebar.
It is, Your Honor.
Sidebar. Thank you, MK Connecticut. Thank you for supporting the good guys. Good cops hate bad cops. And I could say that till the sun comes down.
Nobody hates him more than us.
Lynn, we've seen it. We plan to do a show on it. Yeah, they were innovative.
Yeah, there was no forensic people on there if they said that about the leaf blower.
Greg, I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't think the intent was to kill. The intent was to confront. They're drunk. They're stupid. We've seen it. How many bar fights we've seen cops and firemen get into off duty?
A ton.
Okay, and sometimes on duty, as the case that I gave you a couple of days ago. Yeah, it happens. It happens. I've seen it. I've investigated it.
I've broken up many bar fights when we would go out for our 4 to 4s, right? After work, guys would start drinking. They'd have words. Fights would happen. This stuff happens.
Let's continue with that.
Yeah.
She's going to read these texts, and you got to hear if you haven't heard it before. Again, a lot of this came out in the last trial, so it shouldn't be new for those who followed the last trial. But
thank you for becoming a member. Thank you, M5.
I don't know how any jury could listen to these texts, or especially the one text, or well, there's two different strings of texts, but there are at least 2 damning texts one in each stream. So wait for it to come.
TV Puerto Vallarta, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. If you're new here, let us know where you're watching, city, state, country. I'd like to say hello to all the new folks and the returning. Look at this one, Ed.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
The love triangle, and there was another issue between the Albert son and O'Keefe, John.
I do. I'm going to answer this one and ask this to be marked. A couple of foundational questions. Mr. McCabe, do you recognize what was depicted in these documents?
Yes.
Does this appear to be a group chat between and among yourself, Nicole Albert, Chris Albert, and Matt McCabe?
I don't believe Chris Albert's on that.
I'm sorry, my mistake. Brian Albert.
Yeah, Brian, sorry.
So the 4 of you?
Yes.
Okay. And does this appear to be a group chat that was engaged between and among y'all on February 1st, starting, I'm going to try to bookend it, starting at about noon, ending at about 5 or 5:30 that evening?
I didn't look, but I'll take your word for it.
You just look at the first one or 2.
Oh, yeah. February 1st. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
And then the last one, same date, around 5:30.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yeah.
Welcome, Deborah. Thank you for joining.
Right. Say,
Hope you
for
consider
identification
subscribing
and
as well.
Into Edmund,
Same objection, Mr. Bryan?
please.
Yes, that could.
48.
Can I?
He does question her
The same instruction regarding the electronic.
about saying sorry.
Instruction regarding.
Yes.
This is not to be used for the truth of what's in there.
Here we go again. She just did this.
All right, now we're going to come to that 129 mark to
With the court's permission
139.
to publish, please.
Yes.
Here we go.
If we could start at the second text down. Ms. Will, can you make that a little bigger? I apologize.
All right, so they're going to show you a text coming
you.
from this.
You recognize what's depicted both on the screen and in your hand?
Yes.
Does it appear to be the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. taking a look at that first text, who is that from and who is it to?
Okay.
Hold on here. Put it on pause for a second. They didn't swab the dog bite. They never swabbed the bites on the skin. Okay. The swabs they did were from the clothing and not around the areas of the damage.
Is that what we stopped the video for?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Love you, Liz.
It's from Brian Albert, and it's to myself, my sister Nicole, and Matt McCabe, my husband.
If you can orient us, please, and I won't do this with every single text, but orient us for the first text. What date and time is this text?
This is February 1st at 12:50.
So this is about 3 days after the event in question.
Yes.
12:50 noon.
Noon, yes.
Just before 1 p.m.
Yes.
What does that text say?
Julie said Channel 4 is in D&E.
And that's from whom?
Brian.
So Brian Albert explain what that text means.
So Brian Albert is telling us that Julie told him Channel 4 is in D&E.
Who's Julie?
I'm sorry, Julie Albert.
Thank you. Let's go to the next text. Is this in response to the text you just read?
Yes.
The prior text mentioned Channel 4 and D&E. What is D&E?
D&E is a sub shop that is owned by Chris Albert.
Is that in Canton?
Oh, sorry. Yes, it's in Canton.
On the main street of Canton?
Yes.
Directly next door to what?
Waterfall.
Across the street from Waterfall.
Oh, sorry. CF McCarthy's. Yeah.
Thank you. Across the street from Waterfall, directly adjoining, they have an adjoining wall to CF McCarthy's, correct?
Yes.
And D, is it D and E or D in E?
D and E.
D and E. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just the name of the pizza sub shop.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that context.
That's their family's restaurant.
Right. Family. Yep.
Can you read what this text says, who it's from and who it's to?
This is from Matt McCabe to myself, my sister Nicole, and Brian.
Can you read it for us, please?
Sure. Eating, I assume. Ask Chris to ask some questions. Tell them the guy never went into the house.
Okay, freeze it.
Why?
The guy. Tell them the guy never went in the house. Why would these witnesses tell Chris, their relative,
to tell them
to tell this to the reporter, the guy who is supposed to be loved by them, John O'Keefe, okay, never went into the house. Why would you do that?
Tiffany Knox hit the nail on the head with sus as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is. Ed, this is just in breaking news. Oblivious Benson just sent me this.
And Bubble Gump is what they got.
It's breaking news.
Name.
I had to break this up a little bit just to get a little bit of humor in here. We're getting to the end, so let's let the rest of this play.
What does tell them the guy never went into the house mean to you? How did you take that?
I took that as John never came in the house.
Who's the guy?
John.
John O'Keefe.
Yes.
And the beginning of that sentence is tell them that the guy never came in the house, correct?
Yes.
And the sentence before that is ask Chris to ask some questions, correct?
Yes.
So this is Matt McCabe.
Her husband.
That Chris asked questions of Channel 4.
Will Farrell.
I wouldn't say directing.
Whatever word you want to use. He was
No, I'm saying that
suggesting.
Matt, I think we're all looking to find out what happened. So Matt was like, ask some questions. What do they know?
And also indicating that Chris should tell them the guy never came in the house, right?
John never came in the house, correct?
Okay. Next text, please.
If he never came in the house, why do you have to highlight that to the news? Why?
Can
If you're a
Orange
witness,
see
you shouldn't
this
be telling the
from
news anything.
Two?
Okay. This text is from Brian to myself, to Nicole, and to Matt.
Brian who?
Sorry, Brian Albert.
And this is in
Yes, the
response to the
retired Boston cop.
correct?
Yes.
Where Matt McCabe said, tell Chris to find out, get an update or something, and tell him that the guy never came in the house. This is
Yes.
in response to that text.
Yes.
And what does Brian Albert respond?
Exactly.
One word, correct?
Yes.
So
Next
he
text.
agrees. Mhm.
This is a green box, so I presume this is you.
Yes, it is.
And this is to whom?
To Nicole, to Brian, to Matt.
And what does your text read?
It means, oh my God.
It's ONG, but it
Yeah.
meant to be OMG, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I do a lot of errors.
Which stands for oh my God.
Yes.
Next text, please. Who is this from and who's it to?
So this is from my sister Nicole to myself, to Brian, and to Matt.
And what does that text read?
It says, I assume it's just to eat, but Brian, if she is there, ask her what the deal is.
Next text, please.
Are these texts reasonable,
Before
folks?
I ask you about
Witnesses?
that's the
Are
last
we talking
text.
like this?
That was from whom? One more time.
My sister Nicole.
It was from your sister Nicole,
100%
Yes.
Gilly.
and she mentions a she, pronoun she.
Yes.
Is that referring to Julie Albert?
To be honest, I don't know who she's referring to.
Well, remember the first text started, or did the first text start with someone reporting that Julie said that Channel 4 was in D&E?
Yes, it did.
So would that prior text mean get Julie Albert to get some updates?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go back to that last text one more time.
Yeah,
You see where it reads, if she's there? Does that mean if Julie is at D&E, hence she just reported that Channel 4 is there?
I'm truly not sure if who she's referring to as the she.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to the
Wait a
next
minute.
text.
You know, if you go back to that text, it's not her sister. It's from her.
So I presume this is you?
From Jennifer.
And this is to whom?
Okay, go to the next one.
Oh, to
From
Brian,
Jennifer
to Matt.
to Coco.
And what does your text read?
It's from Jennifer.
Oh my
But Go to
God.
the next one.
ONG, but
Yeah.
it meant to Albert.
This is from Jennifer as well,
Who she's referring
not
to.
her sister.
Yeah. it says
To ask
everything
if
from-
we heard if she is in a mental hospital. That's from Jennifer, not her sister. It's
Right.
from her. She said it was from her sister.
to ask if we heard she was in the mental hospital, which when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, they 5150'd her. You know, they took her and they brought her in. So and I wanted to go to the chat because we did an experiment tonight with a goal. We set a goal, and I'm not sure if we hit the goal, but I think we probably got damn near very close to it. But I want to show this full screen because this is Oblivious Benson really took some time out to make this. So Ed Wallace, Crime Time with the shrimp, the bubble gum, ice cream.
It's a household name. Okay. So let's go to the last round of the text messages with what I feel is one of the most damning text messages that they produced in this family.
Was it in this second video that you shared?
Yeah,
with
it's
me?
in the second video. Yeah. So keep going.
Okay.
Well, remember the first text started, or did the first text start with someone?
She's going to read them. She's going to read them right after this.
Who's this text from and who's it to?
It's the first one.
This text is from me to my sister Nicole, to Brian, to Matt.
What does it read?
And we handed the phone to Kerry.
Now, Kerry is at her house being interviewed by the police.
Mine.
Who was on the other end of that phone?
On February 1st, I believe it could have been Michael Proctor.
Next text, please.
Troop Proctor, who's fired now.
This is the family texting each other while
Who is this from and who's it to?
Kerry is being interviewed.
This is from me to Nicole, to Brian, to Matt.
What does it read?
She is telling him everything.
Everything is in all caps with an exclamation point, correct?
Yes, it is.
What's the timestamp on this, Ms. McCabe?
2:55.
Who's the him that you're referring to in this text?
I believe it was Michael Proctor.
Next text, please.
Fired Trooper Michael Proctor. Thank you, Amber.
Who is this from and who's it to?
This is from me to Nicole, to Brian, to Matt.
What's the timestamp on this text?
2:55.
Same minute that you sent the last text?
Yes.
She's telling him everything?
Yes.
And then you follow up with what?
All the stuff.
Next text, please. Who's this responsive text from?
This is from Matt to myself, Nicole, and Brian.
And what's the timestamp on this?
4:35.
What does this read?
Yep. If she pleads out, it will end. If she fights it, it will be an episode.
Stop it right there.
She.
I'm assuming that would be Miss Reed.
Okay. Did you hear that, folks? Again, let me read it to you. I wrote it down. Yep.
Read.
If she pleads out, it will end. If she fights, it will be an episode.
Telling him everything.
Everything is in all caps with an exclamation on this.
4:35.
What does this read?
Yep. If she pleads out, it will end. If she fights it, it will be an episode.
About Karen Reed. I don't know how much
They were hoping she was going to plead out.
Yeah. I don't know how much more people need to hear, but this, my friends, takes the cake. And what even put the icing on the cake for the day at the end of this, at the end of her cross-examination, she uses some more words, and she talks about that this is nothing nefarious and things of that.
Yeah, let me tell, because we don't have the video for it, but let me give you the context for that. All right. So we find out that after she receives a phone call from Karen in the morning that John never came home, Jennifer made several phone calls. Let me just pull up my notes here. Okay. She makes several phone calls that she never testifies to about. Okay. At 5:01, I thought we had it in there, but I guess not. Let me just get to it. Well, she makes several phone calls, and then one of the phone calls she makes is to her sister, Nicole. But she never told anybody. She never gave that information up. She never testified to that. So this is after Karen called her. And then she allegedly called the bar that they were at 5 o'clock in the morning, which is closed, right? Because she testifies to that as well. And, you know, so you called your sister and you didn't tell anybody about it. She also called somebody else. I can't seem to dig it up, but you can watch the, pull up one of these feeds and you can actually watch that section. And if anybody knows in the chat who the other the two people that she called besides her total people, sister and somebody else.
Impeachment. Do impeachment.
So
it this way.
She then says she realizes when she's testifying, when he's being questioning her sister, question about calling her sister, that it doesn't look good to the jury. And then she tells the jury, tells the AJ, Alan Jackson, there's no nefarious. It's not nefarious. There's nothing nefarious about me calling my sister. And he goes, well, why did you use that word? Why did you use nefarious?
Right.
Well,
it was the end of her testimony about nefarious.
You're making it seem like I did something wrong, or that there was something nefarious to what I did. And by her doing that, it only made herself look more guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to scan for it because I really want to show that because he really, I mean, he gets her in a corner and he says, why did you use that word? You know?
Indicated you wanted
Tom Beatty. That's right. Hold on.
What is it?
If you can find it. Yes, she called Tom Beatty, but she said she never spoke to him. And she called her sister. And I believe she said she never spoke to her too. Okay. Who knows what to believe.
Go back and look at the whole day. I want to thank everyone for the super chats and so forth. I'm going to go through them real quick. Dr. Ed Moskowitz and Julie, thank you for being a member over 41 months. She says, thank you for breaking it down for us. MK Connecticut has much respect for our professionalism. We are honored and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
JD MH, thank you for the $10 super sticker. MFI, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you. Emily, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. The folks who gift those memberships, we really appreciate that. Gives people a free chance to see what we do on our members only. And it's a lot of different things that we do there. Feds are watching. Thunder Horse, thank you for being a member for 13 months. I'd love to see Ed as a witness for this trial. Many people have said that, Ed. They'd love to see you up there as an expert for the defense. Sharon creates, member for 33 months, 3 front doors, and she's sure. Yeah. Jeff, thank you for being here and thank you for the super. He says she's cooked. Hi, Ed, Ron, and family.
Jeff.
Techno Stacy, thank you so much. If she had answered the phone, maybe she could have looked outside and shaved off an hour of cold. I mean, there's no shoulda, coulda, wouldas. It's what she did or didn't do here. Thank you, Claire D. Thank you for the super chat, $5. I don't understand why his parents don't want the truth and the real murderers prosecuted. What do they have to gain with this lie? Listen, I will never second guess John O'Keefe's parents. We will not do that. What they choose to do is their personal, choice. But at the end of the day, we're here to break down what is being presented in front of us, all of us together. And many people see this with a different lens. We are giving you our perspective, and we have to respect that family. Ed and I will never go there. Robbie, I'm sorry you're broke. So if you're broke, don't send the super chat. I love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Lizzie, 50HS, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Charisma for over 39, 40 months. Will the real Karen please stand up? Jersey Girl 51 says good cops rule. Thank you with blue hearts. Thank you. Look, Robbie said he's broke, but look, he still keeps doing it. Robbie, stop.
Robbie, we love you. Keep the money in your pocket.
Hold on.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Sheila, thank you for the super love. Oh, she's a piece of work. She's talking about Jennifer McCabe. Thank you for Nicole for gifting memberships. Isn't the FBI investigating this case, says Michelle? Ed?
They're still watching.
They're watching.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Stop it. Stop it, Ed.
Say good night to the bad guy.
Evie323 sends in a $10 super chat and says, never believed the cover-up during the first trial. Just reasonable doubt. This time I'm questioning everything. Lying witnesses, and the judge is blatantly biased and doesn't hide it. Make it make sense. Yeah. Terry K sends in 5 and she says, thank you, Ed and Ron. Thank you. We appreciate you being here always. K Dubs, thank you for the 2. My phone has an accidental touch function. We know that Jennifer McCabe's, according to her, didn't. Bullshit. Monique, thank you for being a member for over 26 months. She said, I hope Ron's health is as strong as Ed's passion. I wish it was. Yes, thank you for that. Princess Mitch, thank you for being a member for over 63 months. Look at that. Hit the thumbs up for our dream team, DutyRon and Ed. Well, we're here on a Friday night, and I'm glad that you guys are all here hanging in with us. K-Dub sends another 5 and says, it's strange to me to be so concerned about anyone not showing up at an after party.
Exactly. And you got to go back to the bar because she tried to separate Karen from the rest of the crew. She said, oh, Karen, you come with me. And then John will go with the boys.
Yeah. Heather, thank you for being a member for over 32 months. She says, thank you both for teaching important info. Well, thank you for being here. Melanie's posse, Sherilyn, I got your back. Thank you for the 2. Y'all are my heroes. Once again, once and forever. Thanks for this. Well, we thank you. Thank you, Melanie's posse. Catherine Nicholas, thank you for the $5. Appreciate you. Terry K, throwing a pocketbook at us, 10. I learn a lot from you guys. Thank you. Well, we learn a lot from you guys because you send in the messages. We keep up to date with a lot of the comments that you guys send in, and we, believe it or not, we learn a lot from you guys. So thank you for all of the comments after the videos are over and the emails and the website messages. You guys are awesome. Indie Girl, thank you for becoming a member. We really appreciate that and value our members. Nicole, member for 3 months. Thank you, guys. Well, no. Thank you. Donna, and I think we're caught up. This was the in honor of Deputy Brandon Sykes and the watch 4/26/2025. May he rest in peace. Let's go to the chat and then we'll wrap it up. Almost 2 hours, Ed. We might as well just make it 2. Should we go for 2 hours, chat? Say yes in the chat or say no. But let's go to the chat and see what everyone has to say. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Lori Shortlegs, thank you for the 5. I think Jen saw what really happened. She lied on the stand. She couldn't even read and repeat. There you go.
Nothing is lining up. Nothing is lining up with her text messages, her looking out the door, saying the vehicle is gone at one point after her last text, and there's no body on the lawn. Okay, so nothing is lining up. Karen drives home, and her cell phone hooks up to the internet, and that's logged in date and time stamped. Okay, and it doesn't match. Nothing is matching. Occam's razor. The simplest of explanation tends to be the truth, with all things and all theories being equal.
Amen, brother. Amen. Let's look at the chat. Hashtag Ed from Olivia's Benson. She had to get one in there. What kind of shrimp is Jen McCabe?
She's an ice cream shrimp.
Ice cream. All right. Let me just scan back for any further questions, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. AJ Lowe saying, yeah, go for 2 hours. All right. So we got 7 minutes. 7 minutes. I'm continuing to scan for the end of the afternoon. Let me just look at this. ABC had it. ABC 10 Boston covered this whole thing. This is 4 hours and 31 minutes, and this isn't it. Ed, you see anything in the chat? Because I'm not looking.
I'm looking. I don't see any questions so far. I see a lot of opinions. There's some people that disagree with us. That's fine. Do it respectfully. Got no issue there. Okay. I just would like to know honestly what you see differently than us. Sell me, convince me that what I'm seeing in all my years of experience and training and certifications is showing me something. Tell me what you think. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I found it, Ed.
Okay. Roll it.
I feel a lot of pressure, Ed, from you.
Stop breathing down my neck.
All right, stop breathing down my neck.
Is that right?
That's just to chat with them, yes.
You read some text messages to and from Carrie Roberts, correct?
Yes.
You had just met Carrie Roberts. Isn't that right?
Yes.
She's not a McCabe.
It could have been Chris Sal, but Julie, I don't
Where
know.
was it?
I honestly didn't read
Said this is a number I don't recognize.
my phone with the name, so I
Is that right?
correct.
These are all people outside of that group, among whom you engaged in the chat that we saw, correct?
Correct.
And that includes Carrie Roberts. She was not included in that group chat where you talked about the case and talked about what she was and wasn't doing with law enforcement, right?
Correct. It was just my sister, my brother-in-law, and husband.
Yeah, just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
She is not a cop's wife. She is her brother-in-law is a cop. Was a Boston cop. So
Canton is in Canton.
oh, yeah, right.
And yeah, her brother-in-law Albert, yes, is
Right.
retired sergeant.
You are all set. Thank you very much.
These are all people
My phone with
Where
that
did
we
it-
went over, correct?
wasn't it towards
She
the
can
end?
answer that question. Is that what happened?
Did I miss? You even read some text messages.
No, it was the phone calls, not text messages.
Person.
It was towards the end of her.
All facing in the direction of 34 cruisers, police cruisers, correct?
it was.
But they did have their lights on.
It was
I'm
when
not
she was
sure.
talking about the phone call she made after Karen called her at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No.
Fire engine.
All right, I'm tired. I can't get it. It's here. But you guys all heard it. If you didn't, go back and listen to it. All right, listen, I want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, this is a very, very hot topic. It causes a lot of people to fight, causes a lot of people to get nasty. We ask you to please engage with us in a respectful manner, and we'll engage back with you. If you do not agree with what we're talking about here, as Ed said, just give us what your thoughts are and why you are, why you disagree. And we're always open to that. This isn't just it's my way or the highway here. We always like to hear what you guys, what your thoughts are. Put it down below in the comments. It's a great way to continue a conversation after the live is over. And I think it's really healthy to have a debate and have a conversation. Ed, you see anything in the chat? You see something?
Yeah, I'm just reading some comments. It's nothing.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going to wrap it up by saying, my heart and my prayers go out to Police Officer John O'Keefe's family.
Yes.
We look for justice in this case. And again, this is going to be a long trial. Some people are talking about this thing going into the summer. And if this thing goes into the summer, we could see an overlap into the Brian Kohlberger trial. And we're going to cover that as well. So we'll continue to keep on this case. We'll continue to listen to the witnesses that are presented by the Commonwealth and cross-examination by Karen Reed's defense team. And we're going to continue to follow this. Ed, you've been listening to the trial daily. And I want to thank our live chatters. And I want to thank our super chatters and the folks who support us through Buy Me the Cup of Coffee. There's many of those that come through. We appreciate that, and Patreon and so forth. So thank you for all of the support here. It really means a lot to both Ed and myself. And we couldn't do that without you. This is what makes the channel go. So keep on telling your friends about us, like and subscribe, the thumbs up, the engagement. It really helps. Ed, I know you always have something to say at the end of these things, so I'll leave it with you.
You know, folks, we're all about the victims here. So it's my prayers for John O'Keefe and his family. And I pray for justice. I always pray for justice. Okay. May the real justice prevail. Okay. Thanks for being here. We know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet. Thanks for your support. And, as always, folks, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we wish you a good evening, a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace and love from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Stand by for a message from the cop team.